My name is Sally Selden, and it is my pleasure to be with you this morning. As a citizen of Lynchburg City and a mother of 3 sons who've grown up in the Lynchburg City schools, I am quite excited to serve as the board president this year. I certainly could not do my work without my fellow Board of Trustees members, and of course, our extraordinary Executive Director, Jody Gillette. Yay. I do want to take a moment and ask all the Board of Trustees members to please stand and to be recognized for your work. Okay, I'm not seeing you stand. Yes? Thank you. And thank everyone for being here this morning and for your support of this important breakfast. And most importantly, thank you for your support of the Lynchburg City Schools, its students, and our teachers of this wonderful city. We've got a lot to be proud of in Lynchburg City Schools. The new Heritage High School has opened, and not only is this building state-of-the-art, it is also an example of how we as a community work together to provide excellent education for all of our students. LCS has been working hard to increase academic rigor in the classrooms, to increase the use of technology in the classrooms, supporting more flipped classroom opportunities for students and teachers, and at the same time to address the varied needs of our diverse learners in Lynchburg City schools. Today's program is entitled The LCS Classroom of 2017, so you're going to be hearing a lot more about these items. LCS has a commitment to academic rigor. Its commitment extends far beyond the advanced and AP classes they offer. LCS is committed to students learning in every class at every level. There are no gut classes at Lynchburg City Schools. And for those of you who've never heard the term gut classes, that's what we used to refer to Easy A classes at the University of Virginia. Yes, there were a few far between, but they were there. I promise you, you will not find gut classes at Lynchburg City Schools. That's good for my sons. LCS has moved beyond technology in the classroom by incorporating technology into students' homes as well. One of the critiques of the one-on-one initiative is that students may not always have access to technology outside of school. As always, LCS has risen to meet the needs of our students. It launched an initiative to provide Chromebooks to all students. This not only helps students with their schoolwork, it also exposes them to the broader technology beyond social media. The impact of this goes well beyond the use of the Chromebooks. The needs of the modern learner are as diverse as the learners themselves. In addition to students with diverse learning styles, we have more and more students growing up in poverty. This affects everything they do and how they do everything, including how they learn. Our school division works very hard to teach every child by name, by need, to graduation. And the LCS Education Foundation has several programs in place to support those efforts, including a Classroom Innovation Grants program, which is designed to support a teacher's creative efforts to engage students of different learning styles. Scholarships to support special academic opportunities for students while still in the Lynchburg City Schools and to support their post-secondary education. And the Tools for School Warehouse, which provides classroom materials to teachers free of charge. Some students start the school year behind the curve because the school supply list is not an exciting signal that the school year is coming, but instead can feel like a barrier to success for families who struggle financially. The Tools for School Warehouse provides new school supplies and backpacks to students with identified financial need to ensure that all students have the required school supplies that are needed for academic success. We thank you for your support of these important initiatives, for everything that you do to help us. We're humbled and heartened by your commitment to our teachers and students to ensure that all of our students receive the best education that meets their needs. The Lynchburg City Education Foundation recognizes that we are truly fortunate to live in a community where so many of our businesses are committed to public education. It is with great appreciation that I recognize our 12 lead sponsors today: Amazement Square, Anthem, Appomattox Glass and Storefront, Barton Malo Contractors, BB&T, Beacon of Hope, Centra Health PCHP, Dominion 7 Architects, Fleet Laboratories, Lynchburg College, MH Masonry, and Mosley Architects, along with our 44 table sponsors whose names have been scrolling on the screen behind me and that appear in your program. This roster of support speaks to the depth of dedication our business community has to public schools. Thank you to all of our sponsors for your commitment to our schools, to our teachers, to our program, and most importantly, to our students. Yay, thank you. Now I have to put my teacher hat on and give you just a couple of directions. If you look at your table, you're going to find that there's a registration sheet. We please ask that you complete that so that we can send you an invitation to next year's breakfast. Second, at the conclusion of the colors, a catering staff member is going to let you know when it is time for your table to go eat just an absolute fabulous breakfast prepared by our dining staff here at Lynchburg College. So we're going to start this event, much like our students start their day in the city schools, with the Pledge of Allegiance. The colors are going to be presented this year by the Heritage High School Marine Corps Junior ROTC program, commanded by, raise your hand, Master Sergeant Barney A. Tips in the back. The national anthem is going to be performed by EC Glasses Acafellows Group, which is directed by Nancy Volk-Stallcup. So I'm going to ask that you now please rise.
Colors. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watch, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? For the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Good morning. My name's Mike Nellis. I have the privilege of being the chairman of Lynchburg City School Board for this year. On behalf of the board, I extend our thank you for your support of the Education Foundation and public education in the city of Lynchburg. It's extremely gratifying to see this huge turnout this morning. Our next speaker will be Dr. Scott Brabrand, our superintendent. Dr. Brabrand has been with the Lynchburg City School System for 5 years, coming to us from Fairfax County, where he was assistant superintendent and has 18 years of experience in public education. As I'm sure you're all aware, public education has a number of challenges that we have to meet. Sometimes we're not always given all the resources. It's an enormous amount of work. Dr. Brabrand is leading our school system through these challenges with the goal of meeting and educating every child by need to graduation. So it's extremely gratifying to introduce Dr. Scott Brabrand.
Good morning, everybody. How about a great round of applause for the EC Glass and Heritage kids for the presentation of the colors, singing the national anthem. Every year they just continue to amaze. I want to bring greetings from Lynchburg City Schools Administration and recognize a few folks before I'm the warm-up act for the main event. But I want to recognize a few people first. If I could ask the school board to please stand and be recognized. We have some retirees from the board too. Please stand and be recognized. Great schools have great leaders in central office and at school sites delivering great instruction for kids, and we have our principals and directors and other members of the Lynchburg City Schools staff. I'd ask them to stand and be recognized. Principals, assistant principals, directors. We have city and state leadership here. We have Mayor Joan Foster here, Vice Mayor Trenae Tweedy, Mary Jane Dolan from the council, and Sterling Wilder are here. Have I left anybody out? I don't. And Trenae, Vice Mayor Trenae Tweedy is here. Please stand and let's recognize them. Oh, there's Trenae. The others send their regrets, Randy Nelson and Jeff and Turner, but there were conflicts this morning. But we're glad to have council here today and their support for us. I know Delegate Scott Garrett was here earlier this morning. Delegate Garrett. We have representatives from the offices of Senator Tim Kaine and Senator Mark Warner and Representative Bob Goodlatte. We have the city manager, Bonnie Severchek, here, and I am excited about her bold leadership for the city. She put forth her budget message that invests in our school system. So thank you, Bonnie, for being here. We also have with her the Deputy City Manager, Charles Hartgrove, our Assistant City Manager, John Hughes. So please recognize them. Stand, gentlemen. And we have representatives from the Lynchburg Police Department and our Economic Development Authority. Thank you all for being here. One last quick introduction I just want to make is later tonight, we are going to have the entire community out for an amazing discussion around the future of education. We have the executive producer of Most Likely to Succeed, the most successful venture capitalist from 1995 to 1999 who's taken his talents and is looking at education and the future. Ted Dentersmith, he's a guest with us this morning. And he'll be hosting actually a roundtable after this breakfast if you're interested in hearing some more about his ideas in education. We need to continue to be forward-thinking, and Lynchburg City Schools is going to lead the way in innovation and energy in public schools over the rest of the century. All right, today it's the Year of Champions in Lynchburg City Schools. I want to tell you a few things going on amazing. As Dr. Nilles said, there are challenges in public education, but there's celebrations too, and we have many to share. I'm going to start with some things in sports. At EC Glass, we've had in 1 year 3 state champions in girls cross country, golf, and girls indoor track. I was a principal of a high school for 70 years. There was 1 state championship banner. Go in and see EC Glass's gym and look at that legacy of excellence. At Heritage, we had our boys indoor track were Conference 30 champions. The boys basketball team was Conference 30 champions. And the boys basketball player was the player of the year for the Seminole District. So congratulations to Heritage on those accomplishments. Not just athletics, we've seen it with fine arts as well. At our high schools, our choral department had more delegates to the all-district chorus than any other school in the region, folks. Any other school. And at Heritage, they received, their band, a superior rating from the state for the 13th straight year. Congratulations, Big Orange Country. While we're bragging a little bit, I want to share with you a couple of things just hot off the press about opportunities. We know about excellence, but what do other people perceive about our school system excellence? Here's a stat for you. Just for example, last year at Glass students have a 92% post-secondary acceptance rate. Working with Beacon of Hope and our counselors and our teachers, 92% post-secondary acceptance rate to colleges. How about that? That's up 30%. In 2011, it was 62%. Now it's 92%. I don't have that data. It was hot off the press for Heritage, but I have an announcement. Many of you who've been able to be over to Heritage, you realize that that facility is now such. We're here at Lynchburg College, and it's being renamed the University of Lynchburg, right? So I'm just make sure I'm on that. So Heritage, Mr. Beatty has put a request on my desk. We are going to rename Heritage High School the University of Heritage. But honestly, just a couple of more things on acceptance rates. UVA is a hard school to get into. The average state rate to get in UVA is 30%. The acceptance rate in Lynchburg City schools this past year was 67%, over double the state admissions rate. Double. Now I see maybe what may be some tech folks. So you want to know what the tech acceptance rate is? 73% of our students that apply to tech get in Virginia Tech. Honestly, knowing that quality is being paid attention to around the state is important for our students and our families and those. We know folks have a choice every day about where they can send their kids, and we want them to have a high quality experience that's recognized throughout the state and throughout the country. Let's go to the next slide. I want to show you one other thing while we're talking about champions. We don't just have champion kids, champion teachers, champion principals and staff. We have champion facilities, or we're on our way to get it. And I know he was our keynote last year, but I want to have Ben Copeland stand, our Assistant Superintendent for Operations Administration, who delivered Heritage High School on time and under budget. Mr. Copeland. And yes, in the plan that the city manager presented, we're not done renovating and re-energizing our schools. We're ready in the 5-year plan to have a new Sandusky Elementary School, and a renovated Paul Monroe, and a renovated Lincoln Elementary, and gyms in our schools so our kids can have healthy bodies and healthy minds. And I look forward to seeking and asking for, and I will be asking for, your support for that capital improvement plan over the next several months. The next slide, oh, actually, I got to remember I have the slides here. Our Empowerment Academy, we have a new facility there to help with our graduation rate, which has lagged the state. We graduated 2 kids here in January, and we have 12 more kids. These are 14 kids who are on a track not to graduate, who are going to walk across the stage in Lynchburg City Schools this year. If you go to the next slide, and we're going to move on, I want to be real quick to say, ranking of our school system. Everybody wants to know rank. Well, here's what's happened in the last 2 years, folks. The ranking in reading as we compare ourselves to other school divisions is up. If you go to the next slide, the ranking in math is up. If you go to the next slide, we have 17 cities in Virginia that have 15,000 or more residents and 15% or more poverty. 17 cities that are kind of like Lynchburg. There they all are. Next slide. If you look at the SOL pass rate growth, we are second across all of those cities here in Lynchburg City Schools. Second among 17 in the last 2 years for reading growth in the SOLs. And if you look at it for math, we are first among those cities. So when you compare apples to apples, our growth rate, if we're in the 10-miler, we might not have started at the same time, but the last 2 miles, our pace is on a pace to outpace those that look like us and to catch up where we've been behind. So I am really proud of the efforts of our teachers and staff. Please give them a huge round of applause. To get better at getting better, you need to focus on good instruction. So it's my pleasure and honor to introduce to you the other assistant superintendent in Lynchburg City Schools, our assistant superintendent for student learning and success, Dr. Jay McLean. Dr. McLean has been an experienced principal. He was vice president for Teach for America in the Capital Region, and he is an outstanding educator who knows that good teaching can overcome any barrier, and he's going to show you what the classroom of 2017 looks like. So please, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome for Dr. Jay McLean.
Well, good morning. It is an honor to be here, and I stand here before you both as an assistant superintendent, but also as a parent of 3 students who attend Lynchburg City Schools, and it's an honor in both those regards. I know Dr. Braybrand was naming some of the folks who were in the room. I'd like to just spend a moment before we dive into our classroom of 2017, naming who's in this room. If you would, and I know standing is hard at some tables, we'll go with a show of hands. If you are a graduate yourself of Lynchburg City Schools, would you please raise your hand? All right. If you are a parent of a student in Lynchburg City Schools or a parent of a student who did attend Lynchburg City Schools, would you please raise your hand? Awesome. And if you are a teacher or administrator in Lynchburg City Schools now or before, if you would raise your hand. All right. Thank you for everybody who is part of our school system. And if you are here as a member of the Ed Foundation, if you would raise your hand for that as well. Awesome. One last question for you. If you long for the warm days of February, would you raise your hand? So, all right. I would like to take a moment before we focus on the classroom of 2017 is to remember back when. And if you take a look at these facts, I'm going to ask you to do the Guess the Year game. If I had some music. Do-do-do-do-do. Gas prices averaged $1.09 a gallon. Calvin and Hobbes comic strip launched. The color purple premiered. And Michael Jordan is NBA Rookie of the Year. Anybody want to shout out a year of a guess? All right, I'm hearing some good 80s. The year is 1985. Why are we looking at 1985? 1985 is the year the Ed Foundation started, and it has been since then, in those 32 years since, a tremendous support of Lynchburg City Schools, and who we are today is part of that partnership. So, I will admit that I was a student in 1985 in high school. And I'm going to ask if you were then or any other time, if you can relate to a little picture of what a classroom might have looked like at that time. Hopefully, you had classes that were a little bit stronger than that one, but I can personally remember some of that. Hopefully not the one drooling on the desk, but remember some of that. I also know that whether you were a student in 1985, 1995, 1965, you also had some awesome teachers. And what I'm going to ask you to do for just a moment is something that we do often in our schools today, in our classrooms today, which is to get students talking and not just being passive, as would be the case in that picture. So in a moment, what I'm going to ask you to do is somebody at your table nearby will do something called turn and talk. And if you would, name the adjectives that most come to mind to describe the best teachers you ever had. What I'm going to do too, because this is a little bigger than a regular classroom, is to also sit when I've given this about a minute, I'm going to raise my hand. I'm going to ask if you see me raising my hand for you to also raise your hand, and that be a signal for everybody to finish their thoughts so we can come back together. So, if you would, with somebody next to you, what are some adjectives that describe the best teachers you ever had? Thank you. That is, just as a technique, something that we encourage to happen in our schools on a regular basis. A lot of the brain research suggests that if you aren't sitting and having an opportunity to talk and process what it is you're learning every 10 minutes or so, that sometimes that just starts to fade in the background and you look like our picture from the 80s. So what I'd like to do is also, we ask this question of some of the folks in our schools now to remember what they had, about their best teachers, and see if you have some matches from what they said and what you just now were talking with the partner about.
My favorite teacher had a confluence of skills, and they boiled down to challenging me, holding me accountable to a really rigorous academic standard.
No matter what we're working on, and no matter what we're learning, she always made us feel like by the end of the day, we would leave able to do it. It didn't matter if we came in where we were supposed to be, if we came in knowing the things we were supposed to know, remembering what we were supposed to remember. She was going to make sure that when you left, you were successful.
What I loved most about this teacher was that she really understood me as a person. She was fun. She would come to sporting events that kids in the class played.
She would teach the content. She would go over the stuff. I felt comfortable asking questions.
She was fun. She was creative. And she recognized a talent in me that some other teachers hadn't noticed.
All right. So we're going to dive now into the classroom of 2017 in Lynchburg City Schools. And as you listen to some of the pieces that we're going to talk about, I'm going to ask you to be thinking, what of this is similar to your own experience when you're in school, and what are some of the things that may be different? Want to focus on just first naming some of the areas within the classroom of 2017 that are key for us today, things we are doing and moving into. First is a focus on learners, and a focus on learning being more customized around our students and their needs, making it relevant and engaging to them, giving them choice, putting them in situations where they collaborate. That's what you need to do in life, and being able to use technology for purposes to help get better. On the teaching side of things, what this means for our teachers, and unlike any time before really in the last decade, our teachers have a whole lot more that they are responsible for to become a teacher and to stay a teacher. And it is teaching in a way that is differentiated, knowing there's kids who have all sorts of ranges of interests and needs in their classroom, that the teacher is more often a facilitator. We talk about many times going from a sage on the stage to the guide on the side. There's Sir Ken Robinson has a quote basically that says, "It's teacher not so much as engineer, but as gardener." Focused on authentic, relevant experiences, giving more student choice, making mistakes a natural part of learning, having high rigor, valuing that diversity in our classrooms of people, of race, of perspectives, and focusing on relationship. So what we're going to do now is dive into some of our classrooms, and then we're going to pull some themes out to talk about. So let's take a look in one of our classrooms. This is Miss Womack, who is a 4th grade teacher.
When I think back to my elementary and middle and high school years, I remember me sitting at a desk doing my assignment, and that was it. When I think back to my conversations with friends or things, or other kids in my class, it wasn't in the classroom or about academic work. And I feel like now we're really encouraging the students to share their ideas and explain their ideas and justify their ideas. You know, where did that come from? How do you know? And from that, it really sparks some really awesome aha moments, or well, I didn't think about it that way because I thought about it this way. And whether it's reading because they interpreted it differently, or math because they used a different strategy to solve it, those conversations are just really powerful and really meaningful.
It says the duck. The duck.
Okay, did it make more sense now that we went back and talked about it?
Get the ducks out.
He does an awkward
And have the
silence. So here's the awkward silence. What does that say? What do you think? What does that mean?
Meet me around the carpet so we can talk about some of the things that you discussed today in your literature circle. So main idea and details was one focus. What was the other, DeLeon? Author's purpose. And what type of skill is author's purpose, JoJo? Beautiful.
My book is duck. There's a duck that is quacking and people.
So in the classroom of 2017, it's not about passive learning, but active learning, not about regurgitating information, but about being critical thinkers and explaining your thinking. Dr. Braybrand shared before the piece about the test scores, and while test scores are important to us, the classroom 2017 is about more than just the test score. Let's take this to the high school level and a peek into a little bit of high school. As you look into our classrooms, and this is in our new heritage, you'll notice we have desks set up to facilitate collaboration. Technology is a big part of what we're doing, and this goes across different contents. The curriculum students are focusing on is relevant to what it is they're working on and interested in, and the rigor is there to help students continue to be ready for the future. And while those are where we're moving with many of our classrooms, we also are doing some innovative things. At RS Payne this year, they have started what's called the Stream Lab. The Stream Lab is an integration of really a number of different contents. We'll go ahead and start and take a look into this lab, and I'll explain some pieces of it. You'll notice that in this lab, it is more about tinkering than learning a specific type of content. In this case, what students are doing is, while it looks like in some cases you might think it's play, these students are using trial and error. They are making mistakes and learning from them. They're innovating as they go. It is something that in many ways students might think of fun and not even think that it's learning, and they're learning at the same time some important skills. Also, the way that we integrate with technology. It is not also just sitting in front of a computer and thinking of technology in those ways. But if you look here, you have a student who's doing programming of this little bot, if you will. And in this case, I believe we have some upper grade students doing this, and it's kind of an early form of coding, if you will. This has been done with pre-K students as well, doing some of these same things, so that they are working to learn how they can manipulate technology and make it work for them. You may have heard recently or seen the newspaper, if you take the high school version of this, it is building drones. So we're preparing students, learning how to integrate and work with technology, learn from mistakes, trial and error, creativity, and it's also taking things like this, which was modeling a watershed, so students aren't just reading about something, but they're actually playing it out as well. So from the things that we're seeing in classrooms, we're going to talk about 7 themes in our classrooms. And we are going to give you some examples of each of these themes. The first one we're going to go to is technology. And you'll see in the video in just a moment how it's used for some of the presentation sides, but also how it works to help the teacher, how it works to help the student, and matches various ages of students.
We now have TVs in the classrooms to teach from versus the old chalkboards. Whereas before we spent so much time writing on the board, having to erase it, go back and start from the beginning, from each class, repeating the same information each time. Now I'm able to save on my smart board or whatever I use for my presentations, and I could save it and I can erase and come back and have the same frame up each time. It makes it a whole lot easier when you're teaching, and it saves time when you're trying to get the information to your students.
I know that in a lot of my classes, when we watch a video, it allows everybody to be able to see the video. That helps, because I mean, a lot of kids couldn't even see the video half the time because the smartboard would be too small for kids in the back. Also, it allows for the teacher to be doing something and for you to be working with a bunch of people in a group, and it allows for you to do group activities without having to have the whole class look at one screen.
You can type your essays now and turn them in online rather than writing them, which might be more efficient for more students. Google Classroom is a good way to keep up with your assignments. Rather than jotting down an agenda, your teachers will post resources for you. Videos, online resources, anything that you need to do better in the class, which is nice.
We do most of our learning on our computers.
The iPads have been a wonderful tool for us to enrich the students and to help remediate. The touchscreen has really been a wonderful resource for us. The iPads are very user-friendly for us. The students love them.
The second area is around customization and differentiation. This is how you go about meeting students where they are, taking them forward, helping focus on those skills that are going to be important going forward, even though they're starting in different places within a classroom in different contents. Let's look a little at this.
I would say one of the biggest differences is the small group and the collaboration work. I also think the differentiation piece within those collaborative groups. Like having the students split up into their different groups, and yes, they're working together, but they're working together on their level, or they're working together on a skill that they need practice with. So it's a lot more individualized in the sense that this is the skill that you need, this is the level that you are on, so this is where I'm teaching you. Whereas at the same time, to the students, it's a lot more collaborative because they are getting to talk and share their ideas and compare their work.
The new designs and the desks are very helpful. But these desks blend very nicely. We can put them in 4s, we can put them in 2s, 3s, I do singles. It's very good for just classroom management in general. You know, I want the kids in groups. They can work in groups. They can do their turn and talk. They can talk to each other. You know, a whole lot of conversation going across the classroom.
We use literacy centers. And the literacy centers enable the children to go to a specific center, and then while they're working, if they finish their work, then they go to their literacy center. It might be writing the room, writing all the words they can read. It may be reading back in our library corner, or it may be working on the iPads or playing a specific game. And while they're doing that, then I'm able to pull a reading group, and my instructional assistant is always also working with a reading group as well. And so our practices have changed, but when it's all said and done, these are still 5- and 6-year-olds who love to dance, who love to play, and they're also a very tough crowd. If they don't like what you're doing, let me tell you, they're going to roll on the floor, they're going to fall asleep, or they're just going to basically say, "Hey lady, I don't like it."
Yes, our students, hopefully it's mostly in kindergarten they do that, but they have their own versions as they get older. Yes, our students are our clients, and this is not about being passive. It is not about the teacher and focus on his or her teaching. It's focusing on the learning and the students as our clients in so many ways. So we've got to make the learning relevant. One of the ways to do that is in making relevant learning experiences, also giving the students more ownership of what they're doing.
My kids are very aware of their reading levels, and they're aware of which strands we're strong in and which strands we're not strong in. And I feel like that awareness of where they are and where they need to be and how we're going to get there just gives them so much power as learners in 4th grade, and that carries on with them to 5th and for the rest of their life.
In addition to making it relevant in those ways, it is also such an important piece for us about valuing the diversity that we have in our schools, in our classrooms. And to talk about how important that is and the ways that's important, we turn again to our teachers and our staff.
When I was growing up, it was diverse. I think Lynchburg City Schools is becoming even more diverse, which is a good thing to me. But I would say even more so than the diversity, there's been more of a focus on equity. So even the diversity we had in the past, now there's more focus on actually how do we understand all these different types of people, these groups of people, how do we make sure we include everybody and make sure everybody's receiving a good quality education. And so that includes dealing with all different types of cultures, all different types of backgrounds, all different types of races, economic levels, and beliefs. And I think the equity component, which starts kind of in the classroom instructionally, but also filters through policies and curriculum, is definitely developing.
The idea that you're going to go into a classroom, you're going to go into a school, and you're going to interact with people who are fundamentally different than you. They come from a different background. They have different examples in their lives. They have lived different experiences. But at the end of that class period and at the end of that day, they're going to have learned things similar to you, but they're going to learn things from you and you from them. And I think that that is a key component in public education, but it's also why public education is so incredibly important, because that confluence of individuals and personalities and minds is one of the things that I think sets all of Lynchburg City apart from a lot of other educational institutions.
I know for me, learning in the 80s, that choice wasn't necessarily part of what a typical day was like. But what we want to look at is, if you think back how you learned division, I want to show you how choice enters in something such as how you learn division in school today.
Just the strategies that we're giving them in general is a lot different, because thinking back now to math, when I was taught division, I was taught long division, this is the way you do it, this is the one way that it's done, and this is the right way that it's done. And then thinking of my class now, well, we have 4 or 5 different strategies that we use for long division, but the kids can sit down and share why their strategy works and how they know that their answer's right because of that.
So choice is a key piece, and choice also plays out, I know it's a little small, so I'll highlight some pieces, in some of the options our students have today compared to the past. If you look at career tech, now we have courses such as computer systems technology, cybersecurity, economics and personal finance, web design, coding, building construction, nuclear engineering, culinary arts, ROTC, criminal justice, and Teachers for Tomorrow. That helps us be able to pull in folks who are interested in becoming teachers in their career. In advanced placement, we went from a few courses in the 80s to now having 27 different options for advanced placement that start as early as 9th grade. In early college, we have that started a few years ago. Juniors and seniors can attend CVCC, where they can get their associate's degree the same time they're working through their high school diploma. And the STEM Academy also, where students can get ready for the workforce for a STEM-related career. So choice is a big piece of what we do. Let me move on to the 6th, which is rigor. And in this case, I want to share with you a couple of items that are from an old SOL test, and this is a little bit of our version of Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader? So let me read the first one to you. Which Virginia governor is known for the pay-as-you-go road improvement policy? Linwood Holton, Mills Godwin Jr., Harry Byrd Sr., Doug Wilder. Well, when this went out in the Roanoke Times about a year or so ago, it was about 32% of the general population that was able to get this right. This is something that has been expected in curriculum of 5th graders to know. Look at the next one. During pollination, pollen is transferred from a stamen to a... Anybody? It would be a stigma. So these are things that we often may not think that are being expected of 5th graders. But while in some cases people may think of this as rigor, rigor to us is more than just the difficulty of a question that you may need to remember or memorize. Ultimately, rigor is more about the work you have kids doing, the thinking you're asking them to do, than just the difficulty of the information. Let's go into a couple situations to see this.
Well, when I first came to this classroom 20-some years ago, the only thing that I was given were blocks, Unifix cubes, and lots of pots and pans. The pots and pans have basically gone away, and not because the children developmentally don't need it, but the SOLs have changed. We didn't have those 20-some years ago, and everyone thought all we did in kindergarten was play, 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 eat lunch, take a nap, have snack, and go home. And now our friends are reading, and they're writing, and they're using capital letters at the beginning of a sentence and punctuation marks.
The students who walk in these halls, regardless of where they came from, regardless of things that had happened to them in their past, they were held to a set of expectations that, again, not only challenge them, you're going to have to be thoughtful about this. You're going to have to be rigorous about this.
Rigor also plays out in some of the course options, such as advanced placement capstone that has started last year, where students actually do, before they graduate, they do a research project. They have to defend that in front of other people, almost like starting an early entry into what they may do in college. Courses such as Algebra 2 that used to really just might have a few students who might go to high school for those, we now have classes offered in middle school where we have over 25 students in one of our schools right now who are taking that course. And as I mentioned before, it's rigor not just for the students, it's rigor for the teacher. What that means to be licensed, what that means for professional development, what you need to know. If you look at what it would need to be a teacher and you saw situations such as Ms. Womack, I'm not sure the teacher in our opening video would have necessarily passed the test. The seventh of our theme areas we want to look at is relationships. And relationships is something that I would say has stood the test of time. I don't know that it is different of how important it is in 1985 and 2017, except that it may even be more important now than ever.
In all the years I've been in Lynchburg City Schools, from being a student to now a teacher, it's the one thing that has not changed is that family feeling. You know, we come together as family, be it in the classroom, outside the classroom, at the sporting events, at the musicals, at the play, anything of that nature. You know, it's always one big family celebrating, fellowshipping together, and supporting each other.
I would say that something that stayed the same is the teacher support, mainly. Like, I don't think any teacher would want to see a student fail or be unsuccessful, so I think that stayed the same.
The underlying reason for all the software is to be a resource for us. The software will never, ever, ever replace the teacher.
At the end of the day, none of the collaboration or the technology or the sharing or the small groups can happen unless the relationships are built first.
So as we reflect on our classroom in Lynchburg City Schools, classroom of 2017, there are some things that have changed. There are also a number of things that remain the same. And we want to end here this morning with sharing with you the question we asked before about what makes your best teacher, what are those adjectives, and now we want to ask our kids and our teachers.
My favorite teacher is very important to me because she always encourages me to never give up, and she always helps me no matter what.
My favorite teacher that I know of was back in middle school, actually, and the main attribute that she had was like, it was like a no child left behind mentality she had. So it was like, if you didn't get it and move on, she stayed on that subject till everybody passed the test or everybody got it or contained the information.
Their class has been something that not only have I enjoyed, I have learned tremendous things from that are separate from the content itself. I've learned critical thinking, I've learned how to interact with other people, I've learned presentation skills.
My favorite teacher is Miss Clark's.
Why? Why is she your favorite teacher?
Because she is really good at math, and she is really good at keeping us safe.
This heart was given to me about 20 years ago. I had a vision impaired student in my room, and she and her mother made it together as a gift to me. It is my most precious gift that I have. I wear it proudly, and it reminds me every day how hard school can be for some children. She was legally blind. I had to learn to work with Braille. So it taught me also that there are going to be things along the way that aren't going to be your normal course, that we as students, the students are challenged, and we as teachers are going to be challenged. This heart has grounded me. It gives me purpose every day. It tells me why I come to school, to be with my wonderful short friends. And it just is part of who I am. And it is so valuable to me. It is my most precious gift that I was ever given. And as I say, this child had a lot of challenges, but together we worked through it. And it's just taught me what I'm supposed to do every day in the classroom.
Once Mrs. Wall comes in, she has a happy heart.
She has a happy heart?
And that means she's full with love. And right now she's wearing her heart love right now.
She is.
So if I were to sum it up in a sentence, the classroom of 2017 Lynchburg City Schools kids are the heart of our work. And they're the heart of the work in what we ask them to do and the love that we show for them. I want to thank our teachers, students, all staff in the video. I believe Ms. Womack is with us this morning. Where's Ms. Womack? Yes? And also would like to thank Cindy Babb, Stephen Smith, Twana Hancock, David Childress for helping bring to you. We couldn't take you to a classroom. Might be a little overwhelming if we watched that all together. So we brought them to you here. I want to thank the Ed Foundation for the support. So going all the way back to 1985, coming to now, it is a partnership. It is something through grants and a variety of other supports that help us continue to grow, continue, as Dr. Brabrand says, get better at getting better. Just one other comment before I leave you this morning and turn it back over to Jody, is also reminding you with Ted Dinnersmith this evening at 7 o'clock at Heritage High School, so he can help us be a thought leader with us and continue to work going forward. He is also opening up across the hallway. There's a room right after we end in a few minutes, and he's invite business leaders to have a bit of a roundtable discussion about how we can work together with education. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be with you this morning.
Well, thank you, Jay, for providing a comprehensive and entertaining That Was Then. This is now overview of education, how pedagogy has evolved over time, and how LCS is implementing best practices in education as our focus shifts from a culture of memorizing to grooming innovative and collaborative thinkers and learners. It was a fun walk down memory lane, an exciting look at the present and into the future. So thank you. Thank you also to today's lead sponsors, Amazement Square, Anthem, Appomattox Glass and Storefront, Barton Mallow, BB&T, Beacon of Hope, Centra Piedmont Community Health Plan, Dominion 7 Architects, Fleet Laboratories, Lynchburg College, NH Masonry and Associates, and Mosley Architects, and also to each of our 44 table sponsors for supporting this breakfast, as well as the other businesses, organizations, and individuals joining us today. Please take a few moments to read through our list of sponsors in the program and consider engaging these businesses who support public education when you need their services. Our colorful centerpieces were created by LCS Elementary School art students, and we extend a sincere thank you to those students and art teachers for brightening this event. Please feel free to take a centerpiece with you when you leave today. As always, we extend sincere appreciation to Ken Guerin for hosting us on LC's beautiful campus, and to the catering staff who are amazingly accommodating and always make hosting an event here extremely easy and worry-free. Also, thanks Stephen Smith and his crew for recording today's event, and Andrew Wilds for documenting this through film, and for BWX Technologies for leaving us their wonderful flower displays from Saturday evening. reuse, renew, recycle. I always want to thank the department, I also want to thank the Department of Economic Development, the Lynchburg Regional Business Authority, and Partners in Education, who always respond to my requests for assistance and help extend our reach about this morning's program to our business community. The success of our city is intertwined with the success of our schools. Employee attraction and retention depends on quality public schools. The LCS Education Foundation works to advance all of the Lynchburg City schools by providing funds to our school division above and beyond what public revenues allow, and this does not happen without the generous support of our businesses, foundations, and individuals, so thank you. For example, just this year alone, with your help, we were able to award 40 grants to teachers for innovative projects in their classrooms, totaling over $82,000. Projects such as the STREAM Lab at R.S. Payne Elementary School, and you saw some of what they were doing there, where science, technology, reading, art, math, and science are integrated and collaboratively explored by students. Interactive lessons at the high school level where students learn resume building, interview skills, business etiquette, and workforce readiness, and studying the water quality of the James so students learn about the importance of environmental monitoring are all just examples of the sorts of grants we're funding. With your help and the labor of some amazing volunteers, we were able to fill 737 orders from the Tools for Schools warehouse just since July to supplement classroom resources for our teachers, and all of this is free of charge to them. With your help, we were able to provide 936 elementary students with new school supply kits and 413 elementary students with new backpacks at the start of the school year. So all of our students were able to face the first day of school ready for class and excited to learn. With your help, we award scholarships to graduating LCS students to help ease the burden of their post-secondary education based on qualifications each sponsor can define. And with your help, our Candler Opportunity Fund helps current students participate in special educational opportunities that they could not otherwise afford. With the help of our local colleges, our senior honors dinner recognizes top academic excellence for our graduating students. And finally, with your help, we stand ready to assist our schools as opportunities to present themselves. Currently, the LCS Education Foundation is proud to support the school division's desire to bring in a thought leader in public education. We are honored to be sponsoring Ted Dintersmith's visit to Lynchburg City Schools. As Jay mentioned, if you possibly can, please stay for a roundtable discussion on how business and school leaders can work together to better prepare students for their futures. We'll be meeting in the restroom, which is just across the hall here, and we hope you can stay. Ted will also be speaking on the future of education this evening at 7 o'clock in the New Heritage High School auditorium, and we encourage you to attend that as well. There is literature on the table in the registration areas on your way out about the Education Foundation if you want to learn more, or please don't hesitate to get in touch with me or one of our board members for more information. And you all were very, very kind to support us today. If you want to take a card and make an extra donation, either now or sometime later this year, there are some of those on the way out as well. Thank you for your interest. Thank you for your time. You play a significant role in making this school division and this community a very special place. We thank you for your commitment and for being here this morning. Have a wonderful day.